They came seemingly out of nowhere. Nearly 2,800 feet above sea level and hours from the nearest city of consequence, a group of approximately 4 dozen camera-wielding tourists of random nationalities spun on their heels and began to snap pictures of, well, us. The fact that we arrived at this Norwegian mountaintop overlook in a fleet of candy-hued 2016 Bentley Continental GT coupes may have contributed to their elation. Although we in the press are known for our handsome profiles and chiseled physiques, it's hard to compete with the international language of horsepower, not to mention flawless paintwork and Bentley's stately Big B logo. While the attention was not entirely unexpected, that the tourists so hastily turned their backs on a glorious display of Mother Nature's finest glacial carvings for a photo op with a car speaks volumes. Nobody was jockeying for prime photoreal estate around the Ford Kuga parked next to us. Norwegian woods. Our day began a few hours earlier near Aalesund, a heavily forested community positioned on a rocky precipice typical of western Norway. Given the seemingly glacial pace at which changes come to the Continental GT, it was a fitting locale to debut the latest round of updates. A new front bumper with a revised lower mesh pair with a slightly smaller radiator surround and new, more pronounced fenders for what Bentley calls a more assertive stance. While we agree, it's of our opinion that the effect looks most at home when paired with the more extroverted colors, like the Monaco yellow on the V8s pictured here, than with colors selected from the traditional Bentley palette. That said, Bentley would like to remind you that it will gladly color match any shade known to the human eye. Chrome fender badges, as previously seen only on the GT Speed, now appear on the fenders of the V8s and W12 as cosmetic enhancements. The rear of the car gets largely the same treatment, the reshaped bumper getting a full-length strip of brightwork, and the composite deck lid has been reshaped with a slightly more pronounced profile to the trailing edge. To help keep the pecking order sorted, the V8s and the GT Speed get a different rear diffuser treatment. Some new wheel choices arrived for 2016, including the 21-inch 5-spoke directional alloys found on the GT Speed we drove. Although the interior has also been subjected to a round of minor updates, a revised stitching pattern in the seats, LED illumination, new dials and graphics on the instrument panel, larger gear shift paddles, and additional USB ports, all standard, you shouldn't be surprised to learn that it remains true to its basic men's clubroom ideals. Leather abounds, punctuated by bits of chrome and either carbon fiber or wood, and the control layout is unchanged. A sportier steering wheel comes aboard as an option, as does onboard Wi-Fi connectivity for $1,330. Mulliner driving specification brings a unique, small diamond quilting pattern to the seats, and the GT W12 and GT Speed models can be outfitted with super soft semi-aniline leather for the princely sum of $3,200. How, exactly, Bentley determines which cows are the softest remains a trade secret. From the midnight sun where the hot springs blow. For the first portion of the drive, we selected a Continental GT Speed cloaked in a dark hue known as Spectre. Whether Bentley chose the name as an official reference to Ian Fleming's Supervillain Ernst Stavro Blofeld is up for debate, but it certainly plays the part well. What we can confirm, however, is that the torque swell from the 626 horsepower twin-turbo 6.0-liter W12 remains as alluring as ever, all 607 pounds-to-foot of torque on duty at 2,000 revolutions per minute. Permanent all-wheel drive performs discreetly in the background, doling out torque as needed, normally split 40-60 front, rear, variable from 1585 to 6535 as conditions dictate. The resultant acceleration belies the GT Speed's 5,100 pound curb weight, with 60 miles per hour arriving in a claimed 4.0 seconds. Additional factory performance figures have 100 miles per hour passing in a claimed 9.0 seconds and a top speed of 206 miles per hour from the long, linear travel of the accelerator, we like, and the softish brake pedal, don't like so much, to the speed-sensitive electric power steering, like well enough. and damped but precise movement of the shift paddles. Sure, why not? The controls move as if they are mounted with bushings made of equal parts folding cash, beluga caviar, and human tissue extracted from Barry White's larynx. At the conclusion of the impromptu mountain-up photo session, we slipped into the yellow GT V8S equipped with Bentley's extended sports specification kit, $19,180. Yes, really, our car had the carbon ceramic 8-piston front brakes, sports exhaust, and carbon fiber interior bits, making it the best choice for the run down Norway's infamous Trollstigen mountain road, a ribbon of single-lane pavement carved out of the side of a cliff. Mistakes made here could have grave consequences. Although the twin-turbo 4.0-liter V8 produces only 521 horsepower, all 502 pounds-to-foot of torque are available at a low 1,700 revolutions per minute, which helped to give the 8-speed ZF automatic gearbox a breather during the twisty descent. Short straight shoots were acknowledged with blasts of the throttle, followed by braking hard for corners and then downshifting. The transmission will let you skip gears downshifting, to coast against engine back pressure and elicit some joyous cacophony from the tailpipes. Down a quartet of cylinders, the V8S gives up only 0.3, Bentley says, to the W12 speed in the 0 to 60 measure, clocking in at 4.3 seconds. 0 to 100 miles per hour is a different story, the V8S taking 10.3 seconds to do what the W12-powered GT can do in just 9.0 seconds, again, factory figures. Although said to be lighter over the front wheels by only 57 pounds, the V8S had the best steering feel and response. The air suspension does a fair job of keeping the body on an even keel while simultaneously isolating the harshest wheel impacts. You'll never forget that it's a big car. That it handles as well as it does is a testament to dogged engineering persistence. With a base price of $214,425, our Continental GT V8S swore $44,020 in options, extended paint, $5,715, yellow stitching, $1,980, faux leather headliner, $1,200, 9 for Bentley audio, $7,595, and many, many more. Final tally? A cool $258,445. This bird has flown. The biggest news in Continental GT land can be found under the hood of the most pedestrian 12-cylinder. Seeking improvements in fuel economy and emissions, Bentley has added cylinder deactivation to the twin-turbo W12. The V8 has had it for years. The W12 in GT speed trim doesn't get cylinder deactivation. According to Bentley, the Continental GT W12 notches a 5% improvement in combined fuel economy, although the EPA combined rating of 15 miles per gallon is the exact same figure earned by the previous W12. But emissions were reportedly reduced. Best of all, adding cylinder deactivation required remapping of the ECU, and in the process Bentley harvested an additional 15 horsepower and 15 pounds-to-foot of torque, which now stand at 582 and 531, respectively. As you might expect, spending time with the GT W12 after driving the previous two cars was less than a revelatory experience. The heft, the interior tranquility, the impeccable fit and finish were all present in spades. The variable displacement system went about its business without drama or inopportune hiccups, and if our handlers hadn't informed us about it we likely would never have noticed its presence. While all of these cars handle well, the word crisp is nowhere in their vocabulary, and Bentley remains emphatic that the Continental GT is a true Grand Tourer and not a sports car. But for those who desire a large coupe with classic styling, a coddling interior, and speed to spare, the Bentley remains happy to oblige.
2017 Alfa Romeo Giulia 2.0 TAWD. Momentarily set aside the 505 horsepower snarl of the Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglios Ferrari-derived V6, and even the mainstream 2017 Giulia sedan presents as a stylish, back-road charmer when properly equipped with its available chassis upgrades. Attractive and capable as it may be, though, in its standard configuration and with the added heft of all-wheel drive, this Alfa leaves the Italian Marque's anima feeling a touch soft. Opting for a second-driven axle on the Giulia inflates its base price by $2,000 to $40,990. As with the rear-drive example we previously tested, our AWD test car was of the Alfa's grander T-Spec, which tacks on another $2,000 over the base trim and brings several standard and optional equipment groups. Notably absent, however, was the T's $2,250 sport package with 19-inch wheels, which fits the car with a quadrifoglio aping tracksuit and replaces the T's 18-inch wheels and all-season rubber with larger, staggered-width performance tires. An 18-inch sport package brings similar aesthetics sans the upgraded footwear. Also missing was the T's $1,200 performance package and its adaptive dampers, limited slip rear differential, and column-mounted aluminum paddle shifters. Compared with the rear-drive car that featured both equipment upgrades, this 3,660-pound AWD example was only 24 pounds heavier. Not so fancy footwear. All non-quadrifoglio Giulia sport a turbocharged 2.0-liter inline-four mated to a smooth and well-sorted 8-speed automatic transmission. Output is a hearty 280 horsepower, along with 306 pounds-to-foot of torque that manifests with little lag at 2,000 revs. Thanks to its greater traction off the line, our test car scooted to 60 miles per hour in 5.5 seconds and covered the quarter mile in 14.1 at 100 miles per hour, beating the rear-drive Giulia 2.0 T by 0.2 seconds in both measures. That's still slightly off the pace of the four-cylinder Audi A4, BMW 3 Series, and Cadillac ATS, yet it's well ahead of a comparable Mercedes-Benz C-Class. The all-wheel drive Giulia's fuel economy also lags behind that of most of its rivals, despite matching the previous test car's 32 miles per gallon on our 75 mph highway test and bettering it by 2 miles per gallon overall with a 23 mpg average. Chalk up most of this example's greater efficiency to it simply being less rewarding to drive hard without the available performance upgrades. The meager grip supplied by the T's standard 225/45 R18 Bridgestone Turanza EL 450 all-season run flat tires overshadowed any additional understeer at the limit from the AWD Alfa's greater front-to-rear weight balance, 52.0 48.0% versus the rear driver's 49.8 50.2. Compared to the rear-drive car with its stickier 19-inch Pirelli P0s, this Giulia's 70 mph to zero stopping distance stretched from 163 feet to a lengthy 186. The modest rubber also conspires with a cautious, undefeatable stability control system to rush to the rescue in corners well before the Alfa's chassis has quit the fight, limiting it to just 0.79 grams on the skid pad versus the previous car's 0.88 grams. Curb your gusto behind the thin-rimmed steering wheel and the standard Giulia feels taut and composed yet rides impressively well on its standard dampers. While the less aggressive tires remove some of the crispness from the Alfa's talkative helm, its steering firms up nicely with the DNA driving mode selector set to its D dynamic setting. Left in its N natural position, the car is calm and collected on the road, albeit without the fizz of the sportier mode's heightened responses for the engine and transmission. Our major gripe is with Alfa's brake-by-wire setup and the wooden, non-linear feel it imparts in the brake pedal, particularly at around town speeds. Making an Alfa. The Giulia has an undeniably pretty shape, and the 20-spoke Lusso wheels on our test car lent it an additional shot of elegance. Its cabin also has the style and warmth to set it apart from the cold, tech-heavy environs of many luxury cars, even though this Alfa still has room to improve on fit and finish before it can rival Audi or Mercedes-Benz interiors. In lieu of performance options, our $51,490 example was loaded with more than $10,000 in extra luxuries, highlighted by the $2,000 T-trim upgrade, a host of active safety features, and the $2,250 T-Lusolite wood package, the aforementioned 18-inch wheels, walnut wood trim, leather on the dash and upper door panels, 8-way power-adjustable front seats, and a flat-bottom steering wheel. The Giulia sedan is a worthy and spirited ambassador of Alfa's 21st-century re-emergence in the U.S. market. But some augmentation is still required for it to be at its best. While the Giulia represents the warm and fuzzy alternative to conventional luxury that we expect from an Italian brand, one must spring for the handling upgrades to fully experience its character as an Alfa Romeo.